number 60.
Gunstar Heroes. This game is the epitome of what a great run-and-gun should be. It's fast-paced, full of explosions, and really colorful environments, and it's probably one of the best multiplayer experiences on the Genesis. For those who want it, there's a semi-rich story about a family of Gunstars who are out to stop General Grey and his evil empire, and it takes the usual theme of world domination and throws in some misguided deity worshipping and the quest for the Promised Land. It's actually a really cool story, but for others, you can happily just sit back and watch the satisfying explosions on your TV. It's awesome. It's not too difficult, it's not too time-consuming, and it's wonderfully entertaining.
Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U has Cloud Strife in it, and I'm not bringing this to start off with because I'm a huge FF fanboy, but it's a testament to how beloved this franchise is. Smash series is adored and for a reason. Originally featuring just a crossover Nintendo characters, its success has had other developers and companies lend their precious characters over to Nintendo to be featured in the games, such as Mega Man, Solid Snake, Ryu, Sonic, and more. The fact that Nintendo was able to bring these characters over to their game is just a testament to how good these games are. And if that's not enough, how about to this day, the second installment is still used in pro fighting tournaments. The fifth, the 3DS one is considered the fourth officially, game in the series, takes all that was good before it and improves it even further. The gameplay is as good as ever, non-traditional fighting games, with a spectacular amount of extra content, game modes, unlockables, a massive OST, and more. This game will have you battling for hours just to unlock one more trophy and one more bit of Nintendo trivia. If you ever needed a reason to own the Wii U, this could be the only one that you need.
Final Fantasy Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics represented a big shift in the traditional Final Fantasy games that came before it. Previously, Squaresoft had given us some of the main entry titles here in the West, reskinned a few Game Boy titles, and held our hand that one time with Mystic Quest. But one thing we hadn't seen from Final Fantasy before then was a tactical RPG, and goddamn did it ever smash our expectations. Final Fantasy Tactics takes you through a story that's more grounded in the type of kingdom-based politics you may be more used to seeing these days in an episode of Game of Thrones. The story follows an enormous 50-year war which, surprise, leads to another war called the Lion War, where two opposing parties are fighting for control of the throne. You play as Ramza, a mercenary that gets caught up in the conflict, making new friends and enemies while building a party of soldiers and adventurers along the way. Final Fantasy Tactics is one of those RPGs that's so easy to get lost in. Between the engrossing story, the opening up of new abilities and classes in the game's robust job system, the countless side jobs you can take on, and a few other little secrets hidden along the way, I've put more hours into Final Fantasy Tactics than I can possibly count. Final Fantasy Tactics might not be just the best Final Fantasy spin-off game ever made, it might arguably be one of the best titles to ever bear the Final Fantasy name.
Final Fantasy X was released on December 17th of 2001. This would be the first Final Fantasy game Square would release on the PlayStation 2, moving the series on from the original PlayStation. This is also the first RPG Squaresoft published on the PlayStation 2. In Final Fantasy X, the story is about a group escorting a summoner named Yuna on a pilgrimage with the goal of destroying a rampaging monster named Sin. The story is narrated by the game's protagonist, Tidus, who recalls the events leading up to the final moments of the game. Final Fantasy X has several notable changes to the Final Fantasy series formula. The game lacks an overworld map, so all areas are moved through in scale rather than having you walk around the world from area to area. The game is also the first in the series to feature voice acting that, while difficult to listen to and slightly cringy, was an amazing accomplishment at the time. Final Fantasy X features one of the best turn-based battle systems, introducing the conditional turn-based battle system, replacing the series' traditional active time battle system. This conditional turn system would show the order in which you and your three party members and enemies would be able to act. This was done by calculating the speed of every character in battle. This system allowed for methodical gameplay, allowing you to pre-react to enemy attacks. While the game hasn't aged the best, retrospectively, the game's graphics and sound were astounding at the time and possibly the best seen on any game when it was originally released. The game did see an HD remaster in 2015, and this is probably the best way to play the game today. Final Fantasy X, while not the best game in the series, is a strong entry and worth checking out.
Metroid Prime.
Metroid Prime was the first Metroid game I ever played, and my interest in it was based purely on the fact that I'd heard such great things about both Metroid and Super Metroid. At the time of its release, there was a great deal of consternation about whether Metroid could make the successful transition to 3D. Having no such concerns myself, I was able to simply focus on what the game was and enjoy every awesome moment. For me, Metroid Prime is as close to a perfect single-player game as one can get. Beautiful graphics, excellent music ideal for each of the unique environments in the game, and perfectly balanced gameplay and puzzle solving. Having played Metroid Prime, I've become a huge fan of the series and have gone back and played all the earlier entries and every other Prime game. I imagine I feel about Metroid Prime the way others feel about Super Metroid. It's a near-perfect game and is my favorite game of all time.
Number 55.
Overwatch. This online-only multiplayer first-person team-based shooter was developed by one of my favorite companies, Blizzard. They managed to do what no one else in the history of games has ever done: convince me to buy a Microsoft console near launch. I have spent countless hours playing this game with friends, and nothing can replace the rush of adrenaline that I get every time Fitnat pops his ultimate to clear a zone, or Eric resurrects me after I get dropped. Beautiful graphics, amazing gameplay, and a wonderful soundtrack makes Overwatch one of the most perfect games to experience from this generation. Overwatch. Heroes never die.
You didn't make the cut. Fatality.
Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat 2. The second game in the Mortal Kombat series. A fighting game about an inter-realm fighting tournament. I remember it as being an improvement over the first game, but still staying true to the original style and gameplay. This game is still great to sit down and beat up some friends.
Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve is probably the first JRPG that ever truly scared me, and that was largely based on its atmosphere. The game was a really nice twist on the genre back then, as most RPGs were still steeped in fantasy. It combined survival horror with JRPG and did so extremely well. A sequel to the novel Parasite Eve, of which the author of the novel was impressed by how well the game translated from the novel, and released on the PlayStation back in 1997. This game had you playing in modern-day New York and introduced you to the character of Aya Bree. A very memorable opening has Aya encountering an opera singer who transforms into a terrifying monster, which sparks the overall mystery of how these people are transforming. A very chilling intro, and the fact that this game features some horrifying transformation scenes, it's no surprise that this was Square's first M-rated game, over here at least. With solid gameplay and music by the extremely talented Yoko Shimomura, this game is considered a beloved classic.
Castlevania. Castlevania is a linear side-scrolling platformer that has the main protagonist, Simon Belmont, traversing an immense castle, seeking to destroy the infamous vampire Dracula. Along the way, Simon has to battle through a plethora of classic beasts, such as Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Grim Reaper, and many others. Having the quality graphics, sound, and level design that were a staple of an NES-era Konami game, coupled with the popular Gothic theme, has helped this game stand out as one of the best of its kind. Many sequels have followed in its wake, some good and some not so good, but one would have to recognize that the impact this game has had on the gaming world is, well, monstrous.
Number 51.
World of Warcraft. Blizzard rewrote the rulebook when it came to MMOs with World of Warcraft. Never before has a nickname been so fitting for a video game. Wow. When you log into Azeroth for the first time, you'll say just that. From the original art style, to the polished UI, and the easy-to-grasp, but hard-to-master combat mechanics, everything about this game takes your breath away. I have spent more hours than I'll admit playing WoW and its many expansions, and there is a reason that to this day, it is one of the most played games on the planet. World of Warcraft. Zug Zug.